What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Red River Horror Podcast. I'm your host, Joe Zakreski, joined by RedRiverHorror.com founder Eddie Cayazzo. Hi, Ed. How are you?
Joe, the pumpkin beer is a pumpkin beer. Well, that too. The pumpkin coffee is flowing, and my wife actually got me a bag of pumpkin coffee from Marshall's.
Yeah.
And let me tell you, I'm drinking it right now. It's fan-freaking-tastic. It may be 100 degrees outside, but I am all set for the fall and October weather. How are you?
Hell yeah, brother. I mean, hey, it's episode number 55. I'm pumped. Always pumped for pumpkin. Episode number 55, and before we get into the depths of it, remember to check out KeystoneRetro.com for 10% off your order. That's at KeystoneRetro.com using code REDRIVER.
At checkout.
Yeah, at checkout. I don't think if you have the Rakuten extension, you get anything, but
yeah, I just literally I felt like, you know how like some shows and they have a rapport where some guy says something, the other guy chimes in. I just tried and failed. That's all.
It made me laugh. So,
but yeah, KeystoneRetro.com, Red River at checkout. 10%.
Yeah, speaking of this, it's still the heart of summer. Like it's August. I mean, it's what they call the dog days of summer, right?
Yeah.
Is this the dog days?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, because it's like I only know, like it's like one of those weird things you only know from baseball. So like, well, it's time for the dog days of summer. You know what that means? No, I don't. But they said it on a video that I watched when I was 6. So obviously, I took it very serious.
Come to think of it, I don't know where that phrase originated. I'm sure we can look it up. But Joe, I agree with you. That's the first I ever heard it was on a baseball broadcast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then it's the interesting thing that you brought up. So we're having some coffee while we're recording this show. It's pumpkin spiced coffee. Which a lot of people would be like, it's too early for that. It's like, this is when it happens.
Yeah, this if you can tell by all the different, I mentioned Marshall's, look at Kohl's, look at your local drugstore, the CVS's, everything. They all have the Halloween stuff out.
Yeah, I mean, we've been there. Like, it came as a surprise to us when we were like, 19.
Yes.
That's when we were working at Kohl's. And it's just like, hey, you got like... As soon as right now is they do back to school in July, right? That'll stay up, and then you start setting up Halloween little by little. But Halloween's fully on by the end of August.
No question about it.
That's how we would do it.
Yes.
And then when we worked at the beer distributor, people would like freak out and come in and asking for some kind of summer. They'd be like, "Oh, you guys got any more Sam Summer?" They're like, "No, we got Oktoberfest though."
Yep.
Oh, what? It's too early for that. And like all the pumpkin beers would start rolling in.
And we worked there for quite a while, both you and I. The pumpkin beers did hit a point where it was getting earlier and earlier.
Right, because the meat production, they had to start, it's all like the whole flow of beer is just so different than what beer fans expect it to be, especially when you first start getting into it. After you do it for a while, you then know when it's going to happen. But I always found that interesting in the age of pumpkin spice. Or like people like shit on pumpkin spice now, where it's like, I like it and I don't care.
I do too, and I'm not even just playing into the stereotype because I make the charge that while everybody else was hung up on the beach back in the day, I was hung up on pumpkins.
Hell yeah.
And I loved the pumpkin spice latte. When that came out, that was always a big deal for me. And I can remember I can at least trace it back to 2009 when I was driving halfway across the country with a family friend who lives in 2 hours south of Chicago. But I remember the pumpkin spice latte was at one of the PA spots, like the rest stops. And I'm like, oh my gosh, pumpkin spice latte. And the same with Barnes & Noble. Been going there. We have a local Barnes & Noble. Been going there since high school.
Yeah.
So I'm probably not the OG, but I am as close to the OG of pumpkin spice as anyone is.
Hell yeah. I mean, it's good.
It is.
Yes. What, cinnamon and nutmeg, basically, right? I mean...
Yeah. It's the spice, pumpkin spice. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, hey, it's, it's August. I mean, it's like you start seeing it, starts getting you hyped for the fall, gets to start hyped for Halloween. It's like, it's all coming soon, baby.
Yep.
I get fired up. The only thing was, I was going on a crusade, which is just not going to happen because I just don't have the resources for it. But, I'll say shit just for fun. Mm-hmm. And that's always just like, if I were going to replace pumpkin spice, I think the better flavor for fall and Halloween, maple.
Maple's good. Maple's a strong contender.
I love maple stuff.
Yeah, maple's very good. I do not like it better than the pumpkin spice combo, but yes,
You stick with the
I do
pumpkin spice.
I do it all, to be honest. Yeah, I couldn't just say I'm gonna banish one.
Yeah,
they're both seasons of the scents and tastes of the fall.
that's fair.
Yeah.
And now, if I was going to ask you, what's your favorite pumpkin spice beer that you've had?
That's a really
Catching you on the spot.
I wasn't expecting that one.
Here comes a curveball.
Lancaster Brewing has, I think it's called baked pumpkin pie.
Yeah, with the pumpkin pie on the box.
I believe without having had a pumpkin beer yet this year, 2021, I would say that Lancaster Brewing baked pumpkin pie is my favorite on its own. Now, you were just in Salem, Massachusetts,
right?
Okay. Did you want to bring up what I didn't know?
Well, so we'll do more in depth on Salem another time. But you recommended to me while I was up there to seek out, and I went to the place for dinner, but they didn't have this beer. Now explain this pumpkin beer.
Well, one of the originals you and I knew from back in the day working at the beer distributor was Shipyard's Pumpkinhead.
Right.
We both tried it, and both of us, same thing. It's like, ooh, this is not really that good. Wasn't digging on it at all back in the day, and it was one of the only ones. It was before we had a million microbrews and everybody was doing a pumpkin beer. Mm-hmm. It was like that and Saranac and two others.
Yeah, and the desired pumpkin.
Yeah, from Southern Tier.
Yeah,
that was good.
Though I like my favorite's the other one that they make.
Okay,
which is Warlock.
Oh, I don't know. I've had that.
It's like pumpkin, but a stout.
Okay,
so it's just dark and heavy. Like rich and just.
So Shipyard Pumpkinhead, before they start getting mad, listening, went to Salem, Massachusetts, back in 2015 and 2016. Introduced me to something at a restaurant called Rockefeller's. Mm-hmm. They're just like, oh, you want a Shipyard Pumpkinhead? I'm like, I'm not really. And they're just like, oh, well, we do it like the New England way with the cinnamon sugar ring. I'm like, what's that? She's like, oh, just like the glass is ringed with the cinnamon sugar, like kind of like a margarita with the salt.
Yeah.
Complete game changer. It's my favorite modified pumpkin beer ever.
Bang.
Yeah.
So that means this fall, when you're getting settled in for your horror movies and you want to have a nice little cold beer with it, do a little cinnamon sugar, rim your glass.
Yes.
Make it pop.
Yep. Yeah, the Shipyard Pumpkinhead was I don't know how that tastes with others, but I'm hooked.
Yeah.
The cinnamon sugar ring and Shipyard.
Well, it just complements the pumpkin spice and the ale. I mean, that's all got to go together really well. I mean, I can't imagine it would make any of them worse.
No. And that's another thing. People who don't know, if they've never tried, like us back in the day, if you've never had a pumpkin beer, literally when Joe and I worked at this beer distributor to start, there were only 4 or 5 that were available to us.
That's about it.
Yeah. Now they're everywhere, but one thing I wasn't expecting the first time we tried pumpkin beer was the fact that it's not sweet. It's not if you're expecting something just sugary, like a pumpkin spice latte. That's not it. The beer is not the form for that sweetness. I mean,
there's some that kind of push it, where they'll try and do that. Mm-hmm. Others, they just want to catch it on the back end. And then, of course, there's Dogfish Head's Pumpkin.
Which is good.
Which is made with just actual pumpkin, not spice.
Right.
So I found that interesting because,
And theirs is somewhat sweet. It's sweeter than the others by itself.
It's different.
Yeah.
It's definitely, they set themselves up in a category of their own. So I always found that one really interesting.
Wow. How do we get on? All right. So we might as well keep going for a sec.
I just got hyped when we just started, we had these coffees and it's just like, hey. And then all the pumpkin stuff's coming out. It just feels right.
Yeah, I think back in the day, I don't know if they still do. Brooklyn had a pumpkin beer. Well, what's your favorite pumpkin beer?
Warlock.
Oh God, yeah. You said, I'm sorry.
Southern Tier Warlock.
Southern Tiers. I forgot just because how expensive it is.
Yeah.
I forgot how good it was.
Dude, let me see if I can pull up the ingredients list. Oh my goodness. I love that brewery. I was out there at their flagship in, where is it, somewhere Lakewood, New York.
Okay.
And it's just absolutely, the grounds are just beautiful. You know, places like built kind of like looks like a cabin or whatever, but just like rolling hills, and you just grab a beer and just sit outside and just enjoy nature.
Yeah.
And there's like these two, like, you know, older dudes, like must have been in like their either later 60s. They were like, you know, just playing tunes. It
Wow.
was great. It was great.
Now, Southern Tiers beers, yeah, that rhymes. They do a good job. I haven't really had anything from them that I haven't liked, and their pumpkin was good. Again, it was just so damn expensive that I think I had a half case of it once. You know,
We'll just read the Beer Advocate. It says an 88 on Beer Advocate, which, yeah, I think Imperials. It's, you know, Imperial pumpkin stout. Sometimes Imperials can, they, you know,
that's an acquired taste too. You have to know what you're getting into.
it is, but man, it's just a New York American Double Imperial Stout, 10% alcohol by volume.
Oh yeah.
AM Imperial Stout brewed with pumpkins for a deep brown, almost black pour, and aromas of graham cracker, vanilla, nutmeg, and hints of chocolate. Sweet flavors with a nice roast and notes of creamy chocolate and mild coffee.
Oh.
Enjoy.
Wow.
I do. It's so good. And, you know, it's got their, you know, nice spooky looking pumpkin on the, you know, on the bottle. Look at him. It's a good looking mascot for a beer.
Let me see. It went away.
It went away. I scrolled too far. Get back here.
Where did he go?
You know, it popped up one of those things just like, do you agree to these cookies?
Yeah, it's like, of course. Oh man, look at that guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good looking
Warlock.
Yeah.
I like that.
Well, jack-o'-lantern warlock guy. Perfect.
No, so you're right. So my favorite, I would say, on its own, Lancaster Brewing baked pumpkin pie. Yours is the Southern Tier Warlock.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Has anybody ever tried to pair beers with horror movies?
I'm sure it's been done,
Not that we know of.
but what the hell? Why not do it? I'm sure somebody out there is just like, you know what's really messed up? We live in a world where like there are so many podcasts. I bet you there is a beer and horror movie podcast.
There's a million of them, and they're all amazing.
Yep. Oh yeah. I'm just saying. I'll bet you somebody.
That's a line from a TV show.
Oh.
It's Aziz explaining to somebody about, you know, the internet, who has no interest in doing anything. And he's just like out of, like, you know, screen's cutting and it just like cuts over. He's like, podcasts, there's a million of them and they're all amazing. It's just like, well, what do you do on the internet? And he just starts rattling off things and
Okay.
comes back to that.
So, not that I can name off the top of my head, but I bet you there is a beer and horror movie podcast. Who cares? We're going to try it. We'll do a few episodes. We should have a series.
Well, I think, you know, you take it serious, like not like a joking way. It's just like, well, you gotta have like this red ale for a slasher.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You got to find that flavor that fits the vibe.
Oh,
You know what I mean?
that's an undertaking. Okay.
You
That
know,
would require some work.
that taste
Yes.
that really like just kind of like flows.
I dig it.
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I absolutely dig it.
Like, you know, we're sitting outside. There's a crisp in the air.
And,
Maybe a little Michelob Marzen. Remember we had that?
well, that was good.
Yeah, that was like only a limited release. I think they were
Yeah.
just messing with it. Anybody who doesn't know, Marzen is just Oktoberfest style.
Right. But they had it like year round.
Yeah,
That's
they
what
did.
I loved
Well,
about
that's why
it.
they called it Marzen, because it's,
Wow.
yeah,
Michelob Marzen.
yeah.
Yes.
So good. See, like something like that. Mm-hmm. You know, that's a good outside movie on the projector.
It is.
You know, hoodie.
Hoodie for sure.
Yeah, and like, what's that movie that's on there? That's where you go with like the classic, like a Halloween.
Okay.
You know,
Yeah.
or a Scream.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
trying to think. Well, all right? So now this is going to require some serious thought.
Yeah.
Because there's one beer that both you and I like that we have the same association with time of year. Mm-hmm. but we don't necessarily have a movie to go with it.
Yeah.
That's Yingling Black and Tan.
Love black and tan.
But when it's like, I love Black and Tan too, but I can't drink it in July or August.
Right.
You know, it's when it's chillier, like up the Poconos, or if you get into a log cabin type setting, you know, it's just like, you know what? I'll have a Black and Tan. It's cold out.
Blair Witch Project.
Ooh, I like that.
Black and tan and Blair Witch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or a what was the other Paranormal Activity.
Okay.
Like something with that kind of like the found footage
Yeah, but
vibe
see,
with a black and tan.
Blair Witch is in the woods.
So like you feel,
That's closer. Like, yeah, Paranormal Activity is so Cali. I got to think.
Oh yeah, going lighter.
I don't know, like that. Maybe a more commercial beer for that. Like
Okay.
Yinglings are part of the country, and you know, it's the oldest brewery
So
in America.
we go Sierra Nevada.
Sierra Nevada.
Yeah.
Oh, yes, that's a good call.
Yeah,
That's it's a little flashier, a little expensive.
it's okay.
Yeah, but it tastes good.
Yeah.
I like Sierra Nevada.
That's a good
lot.
one.
Yeah.
They got some good beers. Yeah,
Beer and horror movie.
yeah. So we have to like start piecing these together
Yes.
for like a real like in-depth pairing list.
All right. I'm gonna
That'd be a
get.
fun article for the website too.
Yes.
You know,
Yes. Yeah.
do we dare go as far as to pair it up with the 31 days of the 30 days of Halloween with a beer for each one?
Maybe not this year.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Because this year's going to be, for those who've been following along, and those who haven't, new 31 Days of Halloween for the first time since the website launched in 2017. We are going to have a Red October, a brand new Red October.
Fresh,
So,
baby.
Yeah. I'm
Fresh
excited.
oils. Keep it fresh. Yeah. So, and if you're hearing this, I mean, you want to suggest beer and movie pairing.
Oh, yeah.
Send it along. We got to keep that conversation going. We'll get some depth. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
But, that'll cover that. And like, what was I going to ask you about? I forget. I was going to ask you something other than my head's clouded because just a little tease. We have probably one of the most exciting guests in a future episode that I'm just thrilled about. We can't say who.
Yeah, we can't say who.
Can't say who, but we are thrilled.
Yes, and it's going to be next week's podcast, a very special Friday the 13th release on this podcast next week.
Well, this Friday the 13th, it'll be after Friday the 13th.
Oh, my gosh. Yeah, I'm sorry.
Because we were
Guys,
talking about doing a Friday the 13th, but we want to let's go big for Friday the
Yeah.
13th. So that's going to be in May. So any volunteers out there who want to jump in on that, which is, of course, Dave Groh is required to come on because if you follow us on Twitter, we're always retweeting him because he travels for work and is checking it at hotels and seeing if he can find a 13th floor or a room 666 or
Right.
or,
He's been on a room
yeah
on a 13th floor hunt.
yeah
And I think was he trying for room 13s again?
and room 13s.
We'll have to ask him the full scope of what he's looking for in each place.
Yeah.
Obviously 13 floors is obvious, but there's other stuff he has been including in his posts.
Yeah,
So if you want to follow along,
check it out. He sends us the goods.
yeah. Let me see. Let me just read one of those tweets. The Twitter's been going really well. Thanks to our good friend Jeffrey Mitchell for participating in our hashtag games and such. Same with Brooke Lewis Bellis, who is from Philadelphia.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, she's tweeting along with us a lot, but I'm going to try and find Dave's last post. Okay, so the Doubletree downtown Boston does not have a 13th floor. Wow. Oh, well, that was a little bit anticlimactic, but there's more to that tweet.
You get it.
Yeah, you get it.
You get it.
That's
you get it.
So the next Friday the 13th is in May. The point is we're going to have our big guest next week. Great interview coming up. I thought it was Friday the 13th.
That's okay. That'll happen.
That's that's this week. So there you go.
What is time? I don't know.
Yeah, who knows? Who knows? Did you want to preview any flicks?
Yes.
We're actually ahead of it this week for once.
Yeah, that's what I was like really excited about. I pulled that up on redriverhorror.com because we haven't talked about it in a while, is how Nick Cush from Movie Babble does those upcoming movies for the month.
Yes.
Where it's like you get a full list with like, synopsis. Is that the word I'm looking for?
Yeah, actually his own little...
Yeah, his own.
It is a synopsis, but it's kind of cool because he's writing... there's multiple ways to do it. You could just say, here's the movie, here's what it's about, here's the trailer. He actually has his own... Well, obviously, Movie Babble has its own personality. Nick has his own personality, and he writes... his personality comes out in his little descriptions for the upcoming month of horror.
And if you didn't hear him when he was on the show, you can go into our archives. He's there, and then we'll definitely have him back.
Yes.
Because that was a fun episode, too. Like, here for an example. So, Friday the 13th, Don't Breathe 2.
Yes.
Comes out. So, and I have not seen the first one. It's one of those ones where it's like, I just haven't found the time. I always have something else I want to watch instead.
Okay. So,
but apparently the first one's really good.
It was a surprise. If I'm not mistaken, it was a Sony release, and horror and Sony have not really had a good relationship over the last decade. Don't Breathe was one of those films that can be polarizing. I thought it was very good for a while, and then it got a little too weird for me. Some horror fans think the exact opposite. It's just like, no, the whole the crazy stuff that goes down. I don't want to spoil it because it is worth watching. You have to see Don't Breathe and see Don't Breathe too because it's twisted. Like it's pretty twisted. So premise: there's a blind man. 3 people break into his house to try and steal his money. They don't know that he's fully prepared to F them up. But it doesn't end there.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, should I read Nick's little write-up for it? Just see, So
what
August
does Nick
13th.
say?
So 2016's Don't Breathe is absolutely gnarly.
Okay.
It doesn't get enough credit as being one of the best movie theater experiences of the last few years. It was also a massive success upon its release, resulting in a very quick sequel announcement. So it's a little odd that we are getting Don't Breathe 2 5 years later. Maybe it was script related. After all, Stephen Lang's blind character is now the hero of this movie. Did they forget what happened in the first movie? Don't Breathe 2 screams too little, too late. So you might want to wait till video on demand. Don't Breathe 2 will be available in theaters on August 13th. So based on like that write-up, maybe it's going to be focused more on the effects because I'm imagining I didn't see the first one because he's blind. I'm sure there's a lot of things that just happen in the dark to try and like immerse you into like a darkness.
Yes, but it's a very well made film in that respect. Like audibly, I could see why Nick said that was a big theater experience because I did not see the original Don't Breathe in theaters, but I do wish I did after hearing that because, I can see that being pretty darn cool.
Yes.
Joe, I think you should see it. You should see Don't Breathe.
I think I'm definitely going to check that thing out because, let's see. I mean, it's based on everything I've heard it's worth watching.
Yes.
And then let's see. What do you see? What else is coming out this month? We got.
Well, we don't. I guess not to. I don't want to say spoils Nick's article. You go to redriverhard.com. It's there. But we were finally in front of this for a month.
Yeah.
You know what? What the hell? What's
well,
next?
I'm not going to read all of them. I'm just not going to read all of his write-ups, but I'll just say like what the movies are.
Okay.
Because like there's one, the next one on the list I'm like kind of looking forward to is called Demonic. Mm-hmm. So I'm like, ooh, and that has Neil Blomkamp. So he's District 9, Elysium, and Chappie. So he's got a very unique eye and very unique style.
Yeah.
So that has me, going more of a horror route could be very interesting.
Does Chappie die?
I can't remember.
Okay, I hope not. I didn't watch that movie because I didn't want him to die.
I can't remember. He probably does. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. Did you see District 9?
I did. District 9. I mean, District 9 was a great film.
I was about to say, I was like, some people who are like, oh, I didn't like it. It's like, Watch that one again.
Yeah. Oh no, District 9 was good.
District 9. I mean,
I was not expecting when we watched it. I was like, whoa.
yeah,
I really, really liked it. Yeah.
pretty deep movie. Mm-hmm. And then of course,
Dun 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 dun. dun.
August 27th, Reborn, Candyman. How pumped are you for that?
I'm pumped. I was just whistling Philip Glass's score to
August 27th. And you know what? We're not going to watch the trailer on here. We've seen it. We've seen some chunks. I have, at least. And one of the best things that I'm most excited for about it is how it's, a remake being done in a way where it's not the exact same thing, like a new revisioning, a modernizing of Candyman.
Yes, it is the most because Candyman is one of my favorite horror films of all time.
Yeah.
I am so excited because it's not a reboot, it's not a remake, it's not a revisioning. Like this, I have no idea what this is technically. Is it a spiritual successor? It takes place in the same world 20 years later. I'm pumped, man.
It's something clever.
Yeah.
I mean, it looks like it is. I mean, it looks like if there's ever a movie that's coming out with the same name as something that's like, considered a classic horror movie, this one definitely looks like it's going to be very unique.
Yeah.
And the only ones I could think of where I was just like, that was maybe a little better than the original. Like you can go like really deep, like The Thing, obviously.
Oh, yeah, the 80s.
John Carpenter's The Thing is better than the original The Thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
So do you think that could happen? Are you thinking that this might be a situation where
I don't, because there's parts that are creepy in the original Candyman that can't be recreated.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Other than Tony Todd, there's elements of those towers.
Right. Like Cabrini Green, the project that stood there, yeah.
Which I think that's still going to be like a play on it now, but it's just not like, I just don't know how you capture with like modern film technology and stuff. I don't know how you capture the grittiness of it all and just how kind of like depressing it is to live there.
That's well put. It's the original Candyman. When we talked about The Purge before, right? The Purge is very condescending in its social commentary. It's very in your face. It beats you over the head. It's over the top. It's stereotypical. Like, for me, The Purge almost sometimes achieves the exact opposite of what it's trying to convey.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Candyman is a real social commentary. There is real elements. There is real struggle. I think an honest depiction of
poverty.
Yes.
Like
yes.
Poverty, and then like even him as a slave.
Yep.
Or yeah, he was a slave, right?
But yeah, because he had such good paintings.
Yeah.
And his sin was that I can't remember if he married or if he got a white woman pregnant. And that was
there's I can't remember. I thought she kind of like came on to him.
They were. He loved his sin. Sin quotes was loving a white woman.
That's right. And then they chase him down, chop off his hand, all that shit, cover him in the honey, yada yada yada.
Yes.
Absolutely brutal.
Yep.
But yeah, it definitely captures things in a way where it's like he didn't do anything wrong. He was killed for no good reason, and then also just the whole area where they're like doing like the searching and stuff like that is just bleak and it's just sad. And that's an element that's going to be really, really hard to capture.
Yeah.
Something about just like, I don't know. I just don't know how to describe it other than it just, that era just seems so much more bleak in my mind of like that late 80s, early 90s, like these buildings built in like the 50s that are just completely going to shit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So...
and the thing is with the original Candyman, it's crazy. Like I mentioned, Philip Glass's score, Bernard Rose's direction, Tony Todd was so. I mean, that voice, his portrayal, his just. You didn't know at times whether to like. Obviously, he's a bad person if he's killing people, no question. But it's tragic. It's romantic. I don't mean to sound weird, but like he's just.
Well, that whole "be my victim" and
and Virginia Madsen, like I just love, and actually I do highly recommend you see the impact of that film. Red River Horror had a very special 25th anniversary piece written by Stacey Lane Wilson, where she interviewed like Cassie Lemons, who was in the film. She was Virginia Madsen's friend in college, and Jeffrey Reddick, and I think Darren Scott was featured in that. Just talking about that film's impact on them, like that. That was a real. I would say, if you wanted to do politics and inequalities or inequities, and Candyman is hard to beat. For that, it's going to be hard.
It really is, but again, with Jordan Peele behind it and based on his work in horror, I mean, you expect it to be good.
And nobody's doing it better than Jordan Peele right now.
Yeah, right. He's just on it, and maybe everybody misses at some point, but I just don't see this one being a miss.
No,
I could see
agree.
some people being angry about it, like. I don't know if there's anybody who'd be like, oh, like how dare they? And it's like Candyman wasn't that big enough.
It wasn't
to be like when Rob Zombie did Halloween, that got some good backlash,
right?
And some people absolutely loathe it. Like they, the thought of that film to them, it's just dead in their minds.
Yeah,
I've met a few of them. So like that's one where you can see it's like.
Halloween, you're saying?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Do you think, like, in this
Rob
sense,
Zombies.
do you think it's going to be like, whereas Rob Zombie's Halloween, could this be like Jordan Peele's Candyman? Is he going to put his spin on it? Where, like, how the way his character's dialogue is, like.
I don't know. I mean, I think he's just one of the producers. Nia DaCosta is the director. I don't.
So he might not have
agree.
as much of a footprint on there. It's like he might be the money.
Either way, it's gonna be.
But he's got some cool stuff coming out soon too.
I have high hopes.
Yeah,
I'm very excited. No, what you were saying though is right. Candyman was never, for me, it was never appreciated as good as the film is.
No.
I thought it was never. It was out of print when Stacey had written that 25th anniversary piece. Because you know me, I'm a huge Tony Todd fan and Candyman fan. When that piece was written, the film was out of print. Since then, I think it's Arrow has now the artwork, and they re-released it, and it's available in time for the new Candyman to come out in a few weeks. But that movie, to me, should have received way much more love.
Absolutely. I mean, the character
films.
does in the horror world, but like if you're not into horror movies, Freddy's claw, Jason's masks, you know Michael Myers' mask, like,
sure.
But you don't know like Candyman's hook,
right?
So I mean, you would think it's something else.
Yeah.
I'm
excited, and I will be. I'm just telling you right now. I don't care what you or my wife or anyone says. You can join me or not. I'm going to the theater to see Candyman.
He's going to the theaters. He's going to the theaters. You know what someone should give us money for to remake?
What?
Wishmaster.
Think we could do a good job?
I think so.
Yeah.
I think that one. So Wishmaster came out in like late '97.
Tony Todd's in that too, by the way.
He is. Kind of not the best time for a movie like that.
No.
Because the supernatural, it has the elements of like a Candyman or a Freddy, where there's like a supernatural element to it, and that came out right at the time of the revival of the slasher,
right, like the late '90s,
which was like Scream and I Know What You Did Last Summer.
Yeah.
Like the slasher made a comeback, and that whole supernatural element was gone. So maybe that's why that one doesn't get as much love.
It could be, and I think, to be perfectly honest, Scream was so damn good.
Yeah.
And this is going to be a controversial statement, but I always believed it. Obviously, Wes Craven is one of the greats. There's
Well, yeah.
there's no, you cannot deny how great Wes Craven is.
Yeah.
But it's not like it's not like all of his stuff is great.
No.
And that's, I think you and I talked about this with John Carpenter before. There's some misses for sure.
This Wes Craven's They is one of the worst things I've ever watched. I've never been able to finish it.
Oh wow.
I fell asleep in theaters and I fell asleep at home.
That's why I never watched it. You just said steer clear, so I actually
God, it was
did.
Awful. It was awful.
And one movie which I think we got to do this, especially for the YouTube as we get that cranking. One movie we have to watch again was My Soul to Take.
Yeah.
We have to watch that because we literally saw it in theaters and we were pissed off. Everybody with us was pissed off at the same thing. It was that 3D revival.
Mm-hmm.
And for some reason, they just made that movie 3D. We all paid a ton of money to see it. We were so excited. It was Wes Craven, and it was freaking
For
bad.
no reason.
Yeah.
Oh,
So,
brutal.
so anyway, Wes Craven, I believe, did Wishmaster.
Mhm.
It's definitely 90s. It's goofy. It's a little over the top. A lot of horror legends in it.
Let's see. What was? So he was the producer on it.
Okay,
So, you know, the money man.
okay. I was gonna say it's a little over the top, but the guy, what's his name? Andrew Divoff, Divoff.
Yep.
He's really good, and with the Wishmaster looks really creepy. The Djinn.
And guess who's the narrator in that movie?
Ooh, narrator.
Yeah, there's a couple parts with some narration.
Okay, no, I don't know.
Angus Scrim.
Oh,
So you got Tony Todd in there, Kane Hodder, Robert Englund.
yep.
Angus Scrim's got there's a lot of good stuff in there.
Ooh, that might be a good future episode.
Yeah, so like anybody, if you don't know what Wishmaster is, we said it's a djinn, basically like a genie, monkey's paw type of thing, where it's like you make the wish and then you're not going to really get what you want.
Right.
Like the monkey's paw, where it's like you make the wish, but something bad also happens, like an equally bad thing happens.
Yes, that's the Wishmaster.
It works like that, and I think in a modern take, get really, really, really clever with it.
Well, maybe we should have our good friend Jeff reach out to Jordan Peele next, because his Monkey Paw Productions is his
That's
production
exactly
company.
it. That's
So
exactly it.
He should finance our remake of Wishmaster.
Yeah, that's where I'll start writing.
There you go. All right, I'm in. I'm in for the remake.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Well, I gotta tell you this. I think that's all I've got for this week.
Yeah.
Anything else? But yeah, we're calling it a day. It was a little shorter, but that's because just how excited we are for next week.
Yep.
So of course, send us your beer and movie so we can beer and a movie suggestions, and we can start like piecing together little lists of beer and horror.
We might. Yes.
I
like that. It's not going to infiltrate this year's Red October, the revamp, but it will be. It will be a thing. We should
absolutely
with the website, with the podcast. Yeah, I like it.
I like it too. I think that's the way to go.
And if you couldn't tell, Joe, I'm all hopped up on pumpkin coffee right now.
Me too.
I'm just going to sign off and probably put on a horror movie. I'm Eddie Cayazzo. You can find Red River Horror on Twitter, at Red River Horror, on Instagram, at Red River Horror. You can reach out to Joe and I, redriverhorror@gmail.com. I'll let you take it away, man. I'm going to drink some more pumpkin coffee.
You can find me at Red River Joe on the Twitter. Otherwise, you know what to do, and keep traveling those channels of fear.